You might know him as Yodeling Kid, who became so viral that he started his career with it. This is a story about Mason Ramsey, how he went through a lot of things, from everybody's favorite kid singer to subway employee. In the quiet village of Golconda, Illinois, a boy was born under the bright November sky of 2006. Mason Ramsey, a name not yet echoing through arenas, arrived into a world far removed from fame. Raised by his grandparents, Ernest and Francis, after being taken in at just 3 weeks old, Mason's early life was shaped by simplicity, love, and the rhythms of old country songs. Francis would hum Hank Williams while cooking, and Ernest would play worn-out records in the garage. Music wasn't just background, it was Mason's atmosphere. By age 4, he was standing on chairs to sing Hank's lyrics with uncanny precision. He wasn't just mimicking, he was feeling them. His grandparents, especially Ernest, recognized Mason's extraordinary connection to music. They encouraged him without ever pushing too hard. They knew they were holding lightning in a bottle, but they also knew the importance of letting a child remain a child. March 24, 2018. Mason, 11 years old, wearing cowboy boots a size too big and a belt buckle that could double as a satellite dish, walked into Walmart with his grandfather. They weren't shopping for fame, but fate had other plans. Inside the store, Mason began to yodel Hank Williams' Lovesick Blues for fun. A customer caught it on video. That clip went viral overnight, garnering over 25 million views in days. Mason's life changed faster than the tempo of a yodel. People called him the Walmart Yodeling Kid, but that label couldn't contain his talent. Within a week, he was on The Ellen Show, invited to the Grand Ole Opry, and soon signed by Atlantic Records and Big Loud. He wasn't just another internet trend, he was something else, a spark of old Americana. He embodied the raw innocence and joy of country music that had been lost in modern gloss. He had the voice of an old soul and the wonder of a child who didn't know what fame meant. With his debut single, Famous, Mason hit the charts like a twister through a cornfield. The song hit #1, 62 on Billboard's Hot 100 and number 4 on the Hot Country Songs chart. The lyrics reflected a boy torn between small-town love and big-time dreams. Mason wasn't just a novelty, he was showing the world he had staying power. He performed at Coachella with DJ Weathen, met Justin Bieber backstage, and was even featured on the Old Town Road remix alongside Lil Nas X and Billy Ray Cyrus. At just 12, he was living dreams many chased for decades. But fame isn't always a golden trail. Behind the scenes, Mason battled the pressure of expectations. His voice, still changing, didn't always cooperate. School took a backseat. Anxiety crept in. The fun of singing was becoming a job. Tour buses, green rooms, label meetings. It was a whirlwind. He missed his grandparents, his dog, the smell of cornbread baking in his kitchen. The world of glitter and spotlights was exciting, but it was also disorienting. He tried to stay grounded. He would FaceTime his grandmother every night before bed. She would read him Bible verses and ask if he brushed his teeth. That steadiness was his anchor. Then, as suddenly as he appeared, Mason disappeared. Fans speculated, was he a one-hit wonder? Burnt out? Gone off the rails? In truth, Mason stepped back to rediscover who he was without the cameras, labels, and lights. In 2022, a TikTok clip emerged of Mason working at a Subway restaurant. No cowboy hat, no stage, just Mason making sandwiches with a quiet smile. The internet exploded again, except this time, the tone was different. He wasn't mocked, he was admired. He had chosen real life over the spotlight. The time away wasn't a retreat, it was an evolution. He got back in touch with the boy from Golconda. He played music not for fans or labels, but for himself. He wrote songs in notebooks. He read books. He worked with his hands. Mason rediscovered the part of himself that didn't crave attention. He went fishing, helped his grandfather fix fences, and drove an old truck around town. He got bored sometimes, and that boredom gave birth to songs. But cowboys always come home. In 2024, Mason dropped his debut album, I'll See You in My Dreams. It wasn't just a musical project, it was a declaration. Mason Ramsey is back, and he's doing it his way. The album showcased a mature voice influenced by Roy Orbison, Chuck Berry, and Elvis Presley. Tracks like Cowboys Always Come Home and White Rims and Broken Strings spoke of longing, change, and youthful wisdom. His creative choices shocked the industry. Where other teen stars chased pop trends, Mason leaned into nostalgia. He didn't want to sound modern. He wanted to sound timeless. He did interviews where he talked about the quiet years. He talked about how much he had learned from heartbreak, burnout, and isolation. He talked about forgiveness, both of others and of himself. Mason isn't just a musician, he's a vintage soul. In 2025, he was spotted cruising Los Angeles in a Lamborghini. But ask him his favorite ride? A 1968 Chevrolet K10, the same model his grandfather once drove. Mason collects vintage vehicles, often saying, "Old things tell better stories." Between concerts, you'll find him under the hood, getting grease on his jeans, tuning carburetors while blasting Johnny Cash. He started posting YouTube videos where he walks fans through his car restoration projects. One of them, about rebuilding a 1970s Dodge Charger, went viral on its own. He used those videos to talk about life lessons, what cars and people have in common. Both need fuel, patience, and the occasional jump start. His 2025 Monster Energy Outbreak Tour was electric. From Nashville to New Haven, fans saw a grown Mason, confident, grounded, and absolutely owning the stage. But on quieter nights, he still wrestles with fame. "Sometimes I miss Walmart," he once confessed to Rolling Stone. "Not the shelves, just the normal." His vulnerability is part of his magic. He posts raw videos on social media, some happy, some melancholic. He speaks about mental health, pressures on young artists, and staying grounded. He released an acoustic version of Before I Knew It, recorded in his barn at sunset. That video hit millions of views within days, not because of hype, but because it felt true. People keep searching for a scandal, but Mason's biggest twist? There isn't one. He never spiraled into addiction or tabloid drama. He chose peace. In an era where headlines scream chaos, Mason's story is quietly radical. He reminds fans that it's okay to pause, to reset, to choose a quieter road. He said no to things most people would say yes to. He turned down endorsement deals that didn't feel right. He walked away from contracts that demanded too much. The media didn't know what to do with that, but his fans did. They followed him anyway. Mason still lives near Golconda when he's not touring. He helps out at his church, visits his old high school, and takes his grandmother to Cracker Barrel. He's planning a new album, a memoir, and maybe a documentary, but he's not rushing. "My dreams don't scare me anymore," he says, "because I know who I am when they're gone." He also mentors younger musicians now. He hosts songwriting retreats on a small farm outside town. One of his students, a 16-year-old girl from Kentucky, just got her first record deal. By the time Mason turned 18, his mailbox, both real and digital, overflowed with fan letters. Some were goofy, kids asking for yodeling tutorials. Some were serious, adults telling him how his songs saved them from depression. One letter sent from a prison in Nebraska said, "Your song reminded me of my daughter. I haven't cried in 11 years, thank you." But Mason never posted these letters online. He read them late at night in his room, sometimes with a flashlight like a kid sneaking comic books. He kept them in a shoebox labeled Hearts. On tough days, after a vocal crack on stage, a botched meet and greet, or an online hate comment, he'd open that box and remember what really mattered. Chapter 11. The gospel tapes nobody knows about. Mason's roots weren't just in country, his heart lived in gospel. During his 2-year hiatus, he recorded a private album of gospel hymns with just a guitar and a dusty church piano. No auto-tune, no producer. Just him, a mic, and a hymnal that belonged to his grandmother. He never released it. "Some things are just for God," he once said in an interview, eyes misting. But that album, called Even the Broken Sing, got leaked online by a studio intern. Instead of suing, Mason wrote the intern a thank you note. Guess it was time. Now that bootleg collection has a cult following. It's been streamed over 10 million times on underground music forums. In 2023, Mason was offered a $7 million deal to become the face of a major fast food chain. The campaign was flashy, commercials, billboards, even a yodeling burger mascot. But during the meeting, a marketing exec said, "We just need you to be that Walmart kid again. Play it up, innocent, quirky, funny." Mason paused, and then he said, "I'm not a product, I'm a person, and I've grown since Walmart." He walked out. His manager thought he was crazy, but Mason wasn't chasing money, he was chasing meaning. Chapter 13. The Montana Winter. In late 2022, Mason disappeared again. This time he drove to a cabin in Montana. No phone, no internet. Just snow, a guitar, and a wood-burning stove. There he wrote over 200 songs. He woke up with the sun, chopped wood, prayed, wrote lyrics. He named birds, spoke to deer, and once spent an hour yodeling at the mountains just to hear the echo. When he came back, he brought those songs with him. Many were never released, but lines from them would surface in interviews or scratched into his TikTok captions. Behind the scenes, tour life wasn't always smooth. One night in Dallas, a sound engineer snapped at Mason after a bad mic test. Mason, tired and jet-lagged, snapped back. Words flew. Doors slammed. Later that night, Mason found the engineer backstage, crying. He just lost his dad. They sat together for an hour without speaking. Then Mason said, "Tomorrow, let's get the sound right. Tonight, let's just listen." From that point forward, Mason made it a rule. Every tour stop began with a group prayer or silence. No hierarchy, no egos, just people making music together. At 17, Mason fell in love with a girl named Natalie. She wasn't a fan. She met him in a gas station when she scolded him for not picking up a dropped granola bar. They dated quietly for nearly a year. She inspired a song called September Window, a slow waltz about longing, moonlight, and promises whispered in parked trucks. But they broke up before his tour. Long distance, misunderstandings, pain. He still sings about her, but never to her. When fans request September Window live, he smiles politely and plays something else. His guitarist knows the cue. In interviews, Mason started dropping unexpected quotes. Nietzsche, Maya Angelou, Wendell Berry. People didn't expect a country boy to say things like, "Fame is a funhouse mirror. You see yourself, but distorted." He began journaling every day, writing not just lyrics, but philosophies. He believes the soul is like a song, sometimes offbeat, sometimes flat, but always capable of harmony. He started a podcast called Notes from the Barn, where he talks about life, music, and what it means to grow up in public without losing your heart. In mid-2024, after a brutally hot festival performance where the monitors failed and fans booed, Mason walked backstage and said, "I'm done." He called his grandfather. Ernest didn't say much, just this: "If you were doing this for applause, it was never real. But if you were doing it because it's who you are, then rest, but don't quit." Mason took 3 weeks off, then came back stronger. His next show, he opened with no lights, no intro, just him, a stool, and lovesick blues. Full circle. The crowd went wild. Mason's now helping build a youth music foundation, teaching rural kids songwriting, production, and confidence. He funds it himself, quietly. The program's motto? Every yodel matters. He once told a class, "Don't sing for a crowd. Sing for your cousin, your dog, your best friend. Sing for whoever listens." He's already inspired a new wave of artists who blend traditional country with soul, gospel, and blues. Some call it Ramsey revival. Epilogue, he's still yodeling. Sometimes if you drive by the Walmart in Paducah, Kentucky, you might hear something faint on the wind. A familiar voice, a yodel, not for fame, not for views, just because the boy still lives in the man, and the man never forgot the echo that started it all. Thank you for watching today's video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. If you like this one, you will be loving this recommended video as well. Make sure to leave a comment about who should we make new video about.